got wind. That's not quite as bad as it sounds. Today's topic is wind, as we follow through our series For Thy Kingdom Come. I wonder if you have played with these. When we were children, going to the beach, we would find ourselves passing many shops selling these windmills, which very often we would buy to play with and to put on our sandcastles. And of course, depending on the type of day it was, sometimes they would be still, and sometimes the sails would be moving. Wind. Something that we see as both a positive and a negative force in nature. From a gentle breeze, cooling us on a hot sunny day, to the hurricanes and gale force winds that bring damage and destruction. The wind is there and part of nature and part of our day-to-day lives. We can't actually see it in itself, yet we see what it does. We see the leaves moving. We see the sails filling. We see the wind turbines going round. Or not, as the case may be. And we've learned how to use wind in a very positive way to harness the power. Perhaps also we're fearful of wind when we sat listening to a storm and wondering whether a tree's going to fall or whether some other damage is going to be done. So wind sometimes is something that's enjoyable when it's cooling us down, and sometimes perhaps something we wish would rather not be there because we're worried about the damage that we may find. In the Bible, wind is seen both negatively and positively. In the Old Testament, it's seen as something that symbolises something that's temporary, that can be blown away. It can symbolise doubt and the way that things change. But it's also used in very positive ways to talk about the moving of God. Ruah, so close to Ruach, the breath of God. And we see the breath of God speaking to prophets and to people. We see the breath of God bringing life. And then into the New Testament, we see the wind being used in a very positive way on the day of Pentecost. Perhaps a frightening experience for those gathered initially, because the wind there is described as violent, noisy, and powerful. But as the wind rushes round, it's bringing a special gift of God that then brings power to the disciples and to God's followers, disciples of Jesus in every age. And as Christians, we look to the wind of God being significant in terms of the giving of the Holy Spirit, the part of God that equips us and gives us power. And that's to be able to live in the way of Jesus and to follow in Jesus' example. I said earlier that we've learned how to harness the power of the wind. Think not just about the windmills that we find on the small scale, but those that we see as we travel around, harnessing the power of the wind in order to be transferred into electricity that we would use in our homes. And in a way, perhaps, the wind of the Holy Spirit is harnessed by Christian people in order to power or empower their lives as disciples of Jesus. I know there are many things that I couldn't do if I was doing it in my own strength. But I know with the power of the Holy Spirit filling me, then if I harness that and trust in God, then all things are possible. So the wind of the Spirit is something of God, flowing into us and through us as we live as followers of His. Without that wind, there is so much that would be much more difficult or even impossible. And sometimes the wind of the Spirit is gentle, like that breeze on a summer day. And sometimes it's much more powerful, but not to bring destruction, to bring good things, to bring help and hope and confidence. So ponder a moment when you see a windmill. The sails going round, capturing something of the movement of the wind. And ponder what that might mean for you as you think about the wind also being representative of the Holy Spirit of God, the part of God that comes to live in us and work through us. So in the nicest possible way, I'm pleased to say I have wind. Have you? And if not, would you like it? For this is a gift that God will offer to all who come to Him and want to live as disciples of Jesus.